Oh, hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news. How are you doing this Monday evening? Lots to talk about. Varane on Pogba. We'll also be talking about the midfield situation and many other situations, but we're going to be starting off talking about Jesse Lingard transfer offer. West Ham making it absolutely clear that they want Jesse Lingard this transfer window and that the ball is firmly in Manchester United's court. Talking about balls and maybe selling Jesse Lingard and trimming the squad. See what I'm just too good. I'm too good, Manscaped. Today's show is supported by Manscaped. Today we've got huge news. Manscaped have released the new Lawnmower 4.0. This means there's never been a better time to join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping. So what's so great about the Lawnmower 4.0? Well, not only does it trim the grass to make the yard look bigger, but it's got a new multifunction on and off switch, plus travel lock, created for people who like to travel. The ability to turn the LED light on and off, and when needed, for a more precise shave. You can do it in the dark. I wouldn't do it in the dark. But the new trimmer also allows you to customise your trim all over through additional guards, which you can place on top. And its sleek, two-toned matte and gloss finish even features a hot foiled stamp black chrome Manscaped logo. Very fancy. And of course, its wireless charging system uses electromagnetic induction, which can help for battery life lasting longer. Very, very fancy. And you can, as ever, use it in the shower. It is waterproof. Although, shaving it afterwards when it's all a bit wet, I'd do it before, then rinse after. Alongside the new Lawnmower 4.0, Manscaped have also launched their brand new performance package. Inside you'll find the Lawnmower 4.0, obviously, the Weed Whacker, the Crop Preserver, the Crop Reviver, very comfy boxer shorts and a travel bag. The Weed Whacker is this. I was playing with it before. Well, I'm not playing with it. There's nothing playing about clearing your nasal hair. You can also do your ears if you're a bit old, but I'm all right there so far. And as I said, because Manscaped care about everyone that watches the United Stand, they're giving you 20% off, plus free shipping worldwide when you get involved and use the link in the video description. So thanks everybody for getting involved. Big shout out to Manscaped. And of course, they are available through the link in the video description. So check it out. Check it out. So the ball, Manscaped, balls, play on balls. The ball is in Manchester United's court if they want to trim their squad to make it better. And this is coming in about Jesse Lingard. And the interesting thing about this is a big development. This is a big development. I'm not talking about trimming your grass to make your yard look bigger. That's a big development as well, trust me. But I'm talking about a big development around Jesse Lingard here. Mark, the team played amazing over the weekend. McFred was fantastic. Why does our fan base still insist we need signings? This team finished second last season. What more do they have to achieve, says Mark Friedman. Well, Mark, I'm glad you think that team can win the title because that's absolutely fantastic. But not everyone has to agree with you. Good evening, Mark, my friend. Vivian can't use Manscaped. He doesn't have any balls, says Adrian George. Bit of a private joke going on there. So look, let me get straight into this. This is not speculation. This is not maybe. This is West Ham saying they want Jesse Lingard. We've had Randolph, the reserve goalkeeper, dropping Instagram posts. We've now had basically their assistant manager, their coach, Stuart Pearce, talking today and saying the ball is very much in Manchester United's court. They know we want Jesse Lingard. That he knows we want him. He knows that we want him as well. Let's just see what happens. So West Ham are basically saying, we want to buy Jesse Lingard this summer. Transfer offer to Manchester United is there if Manchester United want to negotiate and do a deal. Very interesting, very open, very honest. If you're a West Ham fan, you can't complain. Lingard makes you better and you're a good team. And as a Manchester United football club, we can't complain about not being able to sell players. It's like what Romano said. Check out the two fantastic interviews we've done on the show today. Paul Ince this morning and then Fabrizio Romano at lunchtime. But it's like Fabrizio Romano said. Manchester United, if they're to buy a midfielder, are going to have to sell somebody. And he mentioned Lingard and Matic. Well, there's the path to doing the deal. Lingard to West Ham gives you money to then buy a midfielder. And look, as I said, Manchester United cannot complain here. We can't talk about we couldn't sell anybody. West Ham are saying we want Jesse Lingard. The conversation now is Manchester United's. And in some ways, I almost feel that it's not even Jesse Lingard's decision now. Well, it is. It is. Lingard can say he wants to go. But realistically, if West Ham want Lingard and Manchester United decide they don't want him anymore, nicely, then Lingard goes to West Ham and you get money. You know what? Football is sometimes just about doing what's best for everybody. And I think the best thing for everybody is to let him go. I really do. And I know it's going to divide opinion, and that's absolutely fantastic, because I don't dislike Jesse Lingard. And I think what Ollie said about him yesterday is spot on. You know, he's gone away. He's got his form back. But West Ham deserve a lot of credit for that. Jesse deserves a lot of credit, but so do West Ham. Loan deals can be fantastic for clubs, but I just don't trust Ollie to use Jesse anyway. He ignored him for the first 4 months of last season when he was fit. He sent him to West Ham. He did really well at West Ham, and now Ollie's saying he's proved himself at West Ham. He's got a lot to offer here, but he had a lot to offer here a year ago, and you didn't use him. And I fail to see how we're going to use him anyway. I mean, Donny van de Beek cannot get minutes. Are we now going to put Jesse ahead of Donny, which is ridiculous? Or are we going to treat Jesse like Donny and not give him any game time? Anthony Martial, Mason Greenwood, Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho, Paul Pogba, Bruno Fernandes, Mata, Donny. You know, there's probably somebody else I've missed out there that can play in the positions that Jesse plays in. So, Dan James. We're stacked. We're absolutely stacked. And you've got a club here that wants to buy him. And, you know, Jesse should be looking at that list of players as well. He could be playing first team football next weekend for West Ham, and the weekend after, and the weekend after, knocking on the England door, knocking on the Player of the Month award for the Premier League, you know, actually playing football. The Nicky Butt choice, the Phil Neville choice in your late 20s, go and play bloody football. He should do it. And Ollie should let him go and do it. And if United say we're not selling him, we want to keep him as part of the squad, then more fool United, because we are stacked. Absolutely stacked in that position. To keep him, I think, is unfair on him, because I think he would probably be persuaded. If Ollie sits Jesse down and says, "I want you to stay, Lingard. You know, you're in my plans." I mean, what? You know, if I was a Man United player and Ollie sat me down and went, "Goldie, I want you to stay. You're in my plans." I'm a Man United fan. I love Manchester United. The manager's telling me I'm in his plans. I'm staying. You know, and I think this is on United now. This is on United. And I wouldn't normally say such a blunt thing, but when West Ham's coach is coming out saying we desperately want Lingard and we want to do a deal for Lingard and it's up to United, then I think United need to grow a pair and do a deal with West Ham, because I cannot see how Lingard gets any game time this year, because he's not better than Pogba, he's not better than Greenwood, he's not better than Rashford, he's not better than Sancho, he's not better than Bruno, and he's not better than Martial, and they all play in his position. So, and I don't think he's better than Van de Beek, but then again, you probably can say Lingard's better than Van de Beek because he plays more. But no, I think United have got to step up to the plate here and do the deal, and by doing that deal, you bring money in to maybe bring a midfielder in. So, you know, we're on logical street here, but, you know, do United always operate on logical street? A part of me thinks that Man United might go, let's give Lingard a new contract to retain his value. His value will never be what it is now. You could probably get 20 million for him now, but if you give him a new deal, in a year's time when he's hardly played, you won't get more than £20 million for him anyway, whether he's got a 4-year contract or a 1-year contract. So I hope we're going to do something here. I hope for Jesse he takes it. You know, this is a really weird situation. I want to get into your chat because I want to know what you think. But this is a really weird situation. It does remind me of Nicky Butt. It does remind me of Phil Neville. And a lot of you won't be old enough. But when they went, I was like, go for it, lads. I'm going to keep an eye on your career. You're United players and you're just going off to play football in the back end of your career. Well done. And, you know, it's not, you know, sometimes players go and you know, Di Maria's and Tevez, you're like, F off. F off. Get out. But I think if Lingard goes to West Ham, a lot of people would wish him the best, keep an eye on his career. And, you know, it's not often that you can leave a club with people, everyone's happy for you. You either leave because you're a snake or you leave because people think you're shit. I don't think people think Jesse's shit. I just think that there's not a space for him in the team anymore. So go and play football elsewhere. Let's see. Let's have a look what people say. Jesse doesn't care about game time. He just wants to be at United, says Leo. Well, if that's what he wants to do, I think he's wasting his talent. And you know what? That's up to him. But I think he is wasting his talent. You know, just going into United because you love United to train with your mates. He's better than that, but, you know, I can't tell him to do that. Free Jesse, DJ, says Sally Devil Red. And how much does West Ham want for him, says the Beast. I think West Ham will probably pay 20 to 25 million, and I think that's a fair price. Illa United says, sell Lingard for 25 million, put 20 for Højbjerg from Spurs, you like him so much. Well, Højbjerg's not for sale. And Lingard needs to go for his career, says Drisk. And it seems we are stacked, however, an injury to Bruno and it's back to mid-table with us. You know what? I actually, you know, that's a great point. But you know what? If we lose Bruno Fernandes, it's like Manchester City losing Kevin De Bruyne. It's like Liverpool losing Mo Salah. That's the quality of Bruno Fernandes. But if we did lose Bruno Fernandes, it's not season over, is it? Pogba can play there in a free role, which he does on the left. So Pogba could play where Bruno is. Van der Beek can play where Bruno is. Mata can play where Bruno is if we're really desperate. But people go, well, we need Pogba on the left wing. Well, we don't. Pogba can go number 10. You've still got Rashford and Martial who can play off the left. You've still got Sancho and Greenwood who can play off the right. You've got Cavani. An injury to Bruno doesn't mean Lingard plays, does it? It doesn't. An injury to Bruno and Pogba, and it still doesn't mean Lingard plays, because you could play Donny there and still have your wide men. We're so stacked in that position. I don't want Bruno Fernandes to get injured. I don't want Pogba to get injured because they are superstar players of the team. But we've definitely got options in the attack and in the defence this year. We don't really have many options in the midfield area, whether it's a holding midfielder or a box-to-box or a pivot player. Pivot too. We don't have many options there, but in the attacking positions and at the back. And to be honest, Lingard is in the same position as Eric Bailly. Eric Bailly is back training today after the Olympics. What's Eric Bailly's future? You got Varane, you got Maguire, you got Lindelof. He's fourth choice. Now you do need 4 centre-backs, but I don't think Eric Bailly is going to be happy being fourth choice centre-back. I think Eric Bailly is closer to playing for United as fourth choice centre-back than Lingard is in any position because of the quality that's ahead of him. So we'll wait and see what happens. For me, it's a very logical deal to sell Lingard for his career, for United and for West Ham. But as I said, logic doesn't always happen. And the thing that excites me about this deal is not only is it a fantastic deal for West Ham and Jesse and a fantastic deal for Manchester United, it's a smile on the face deal for everybody really, but it also opens up a bit of money to go and get the midfielder that we might be looking at as well. So let's watch and see what happens with that. I think it's very interesting that West Ham have come out today. If you've joined a little bit late, Stuart Pearce, West Ham coach, has come out and said today and said they want Jesse Lingard at West Ham. They're ready to do a deal for Jesse Lingard with West Ham, but Man United have got to come to the table and do a deal with us. So let's wait and see. But whatever happens, we'll always know that West Ham wanted Lingard. And if we don't do the deal, we don't do the deal. Mark the Flash says, what about Ahmad? You need to check. I know some people do just tune in on the 8 o'clock show, and thank you very much. Please smash a like on the video. But there are 2 fantastic interviews on the show today, on the channel today. Paul Ince this morning, Fabrizio Romano this afternoon. They're both well worth a watch. Romano was talking about Ahmad in that loan deal, probably going to be Premier League, maybe Bundesliga. Doesn't look like it'll be Basel. Yabba dabba do. I don't want it to be Basel. I want it to be Premier League, and if not, the Bundesliga doesn't bother me at all. You put Donny van der Beek where Fred is, Sancho instead of James, and Varane in our team. I can really see us challenging for this league. Ollie has the tools. Sean, rotation is going to be absolutely essential. Lingard, Jones, and 30 million for Rice, says Tom O'Duff. Yeah, but the trouble with that, Tomo, is you've said Lingard, Jones and 30 million for Rice. You're really putting Lingard and 30 million for Rice. I mean, Jones has no value. He doesn't have any value. He simply doesn't have any value. And he's on stupid wages. This is the problem we've got with Phil Jones. He's back in training, but he's on silly money for his value. And I think he's on 80 grand a week. I don't think people would pay as you play with Phil Jones. I mean, it's and he's still got, I think, 3 years left on his deal. I'm all in for letting go of Lingard, but I don't think the cash would be used for transfers. Ollie said that anything now, get now is a bonus, says Paraz. No, I do think there is still a deal to be done, Paraz. I still think we can do another transfer. I just think we've got to get somebody out first, and the opportunity is there. Is there anything on number 4 in Jones? Says Mario. He's keeping the number 4, which feeds nicely into what I wanted to talk about Raphael Varane. We've seen the pictures of Varane training with Manchester United today with Jadon Sancho, and I don't know whether anybody's seen them or not. You can check them out on @UnitedStand MUFC on Twitter, and other outlets. But just seeing Varane in training today. Not even training, just the pictures of Varane training. You know, some players, like if Ronaldo was back at United and there was pictures of him and you didn't see the training, you just go, what a player. You can just tell he's a top class player. I was looking at those pictures of Varane today in the United training kit, stills, not moving. He just has that aura as a player. And I think it was so exciting because, talking to Paul Ince this morning, he was talking about playing with people like Cantona and Hughes and Keane and Beckham and Scholes. And, you used to see pictures of them training and you'd go, wow, what a squad we've got. And Roll says it's almost erotic. Well, maybe it is a bit erotic to you. It's not erotic to me. It's football. Seeing Varane today, I got that first feeling in a long time of, high-end quality in a Manchester United shirt. And, I think we're getting there with Pogba and Bruno and Greenwood and Luke Shaw and Maguire and De Gea. In their own ways, they are top of their game. But Varane, to me, just looked like, even more than Bruno, even more than Pogba, even more than De Gea, he just gave off. I'm not saying he's a better player than them, but he just gave off something in them pictures that I was just like, wow. And I think it's just because who he is, and he's prime. He's 28. He's won the World Cup. He's won 4 Champions League. He's won numerous La Ligas. He's played with Sergio Ramos for the last however many years, who is without doubt one of the best centre-backs of that centre-back partnership, Ramos and Varane. That goes up against any centre-back pairing of the last 20 years. That's in the conversation. That's up there with, let's talk about United. That's up there with Rio and Vidic. Definitely. Ramos and Varane is up there with Rio and Vidic. It's one more. So we're getting a Raphael Varane at 28 years of age. No wonder he gives off that quality. And I just look at those pictures and I think, wow. Apparently he's younger than Maguire as well. Who said that? Druv says no, it wasn't Druv. It was King Shamouk who says he's still younger than Maguire by a few months. And that's amazing. I'd never even thought of that. I mean, he's the same age as Pogba. He's the same age as Fred. He's the same age as Maguire. It's... But yeah, I wanted to get that across tonight. When I saw those pictures, I was just like, for the first time in a long time, that's a player that I just look at and go, oh. And if I'm thinking that from a picture, Ollie's got to start him against Southampton. We're not pissing about here. Lindelof deserves to start. Varane's better than Maguire. And I like Maguire, but Varane's better than Maguire. He's arguably our best player. His calibre is... Nobody is as decorated as him. Nobody's got the experience he's got. He goes straight into the team for me. And you know what? You know why I'm making a point of this? Because if we're thinking this as United fans off pictures, what's he going to do to Southampton at the weekend when they see him at the back? What's he going to do against Wolves? If we feel it as fans, and look, we are the biggest critics as fans. We're like, I hope it works out, this, that and the other. But if we're looking at Varane and going, this is just star quality, world-class quality, and we're not even seeing him play, it's just the aura. Imagine him, on Sunday afternoon at Southampton and they see Varane at the back. It just elevates that whole team. And I tell you what, you can win a boxing match, you can win a cricket game, you can win a football match just by... Before the whistle's been kicked. How many times did United used to say they'd look at the opposition and they knew they'd won the game in the tunnel before a ball had been kicked? That's what you're getting with Varane. So yeah, just very excited about him. Some players just have an aura about them, says Sean Turner. He does. And he was speaking about Pogba as well. Just some quotes from Varane, because obviously he's been unveiled again today. But he was saying about Pogba that, they've known each other for years. They get on really well. And he's looking forward to winning trophies and fighting for trophies with Pogba this season. Whether it'll be beyond this season, we don't know. But that they have got a great relationship. I think there was a bit of a fallout with the French squad, wasn't there, when they got knocked out of the Euros. But, I would expect anybody who's played high-level sports to fall out with each other. I don't care whether you're best mates or not. You lose a cup final, you're going to fall out with each other, and that's they massively underachieved. And I don't know whether Varane and Pogba did fall out with each other, but the reality is they are very, very, very well acquainted with each other. And there is a contingent of French players there: Martial, Pogba, Varane now. And I think that's so important to United as well. I know that we've had this sort of Souness Pogba thing, and I think I'm not going to say much about that because I think Paul Ince covered it beautifully this morning, and you can check that video out. But I do think that the signing of Varane is so important because it's. I've spoken about this a lot. You don't have to agree with me on this, but I definitely detect, and I think that Souness is an example of that, even though I think a lot of Souness's resentment comes because Pogba's a midfielder and he's probably better than him, and also that it's the Liverpool United thing. The resentment's there. I understand that. I don't mind that. But I do also think that there is an undercurrent of bias towards British players over foreign players. I don't think it's I really don't think it's anything more sinister than that. I just think that there is a British bias in the media sometimes, and we see it with Bruno. We've seen it with De Gea, and over the years we've seen it with Martial. We've seen it with Pogba. But I think what's great about United is that, you know, you look at the game at the weekend. Mason Greenwood was fantastic, but who were the match winners? Pogba and Bruno, our foreign players. And I think Varane coming in is going to be our best defender, and he is French. So I think that this balance that United have always had, and let's not forget, Solskjaer himself is Norwegian, Cantona was French, Ronaldo's Portuguese. So look, we've had plenty of foreign players over the years that have been fundamental to the success of this football club. We are not that football club. We're Manchester United. We're not Manchester. We're not England. We're Manchester United, and this club is about everybody. And I don't want to hear about this bloody Brexit FC bullshit anymore. We're Manchester United. We're a team that's absolutely littered with top class, world class players now. And I like the fact that we've got Varane, and I think it's a great signing. I know you don't want to discuss Ollie's position, but his treatment of Donny is the biggest failing of his job, says Joseph. Look, I've said before about Donny van der Beek. I don't think it's going to go well this season, but we've only had one game. He might make changes. He will surely make changes against Southampton. And I think by doing that, he's going to have to drop at least one player who played well against Leeds. We won 5-1. You've got to make a change. You've got to bring Varane into that team. And I think you've got to bring Sancho into that team. So that automatically gives Ollie at the start of the season that ruthlessness to go, I'm going to rotate. Whether we win or not, I'm going to rotate. I think last season, he had to keep using the same players. I heard I think it was Scholes said after the Leeds game, you know, in the Europa League final, Ollie had no subs, and he didn't make any subs, but now he looks at his bench and he's got 4 or 5 world-class options, or his top-class options. He did have subs in the Europa League. Let's not start making excuses for him, Scholes. He did have subs. We have definitely got a better bench now, though. But, you know, he's got to start rotating. And Van der Beek definitely does deserve a start. Sean Turner says, Lindelof 100% upped his game after Varane got announced. He was so good Saturday. His distribution was unreal. And he's more than vocal than Maguire, says Sean Turner. But I would say to you, Sean, or anybody, does anybody here think that Raphael Varane should be benched for Lindelof on Sunday? Because that, to me, just sounds ridiculous. I don't care how well Lindelof played. You know, I've watched football for years and years and years. I've seen managers that will stick with the Lindelof because they're playing in a winning team and they're doing well. I've seen other managers who just go, oh, you played really, really well, mate, but you're not as good as this player and you're out. That's just the way it works. I'm trying to win things. And I definitely lean towards that. I want the best 11 players on the pitch. Varane is on a different level to Lindelof. And even if he wasn't on a different level, even if they were the same ability, you know, even if it was a really big argument, I'd still pick Varane because his attributes are better. He's quicker, which means a higher line, and he's better in the air, and he's more physical. I know you don't want to discuss Ollie. I've done that one from Joseph. And from USA, and even I can say the biases are palpable. We need more established foreign players from Europe, and so America, that would bleed for United, says Mario. And Varane, with his speed and strength, makes us so much better. Looks like a beast in the training video, says Vinit. Well, I haven't watched the training video yet, Vinit. But yeah, I mean, look, bringing it back to Varane just for a moment before we move on. Let's not forget, I'm excited for him to play against Southampton on Sunday. Not because I think he's the best defender we've got. Not because I think he's one of the best defenders in the world. But also because I'm excited to see how that player is going to change Wan-Bissaka. How that player is going to enhance Maguire. How that player is going to improve our midfield. How that player is going to push us up the pitch. I said this so many times. When we had Rio and Vidic, they were almost like everybody go forward. I mean, Carrick wouldn't. He'd stay with them. But the fullbacks, everyone, get forward. Because they backed themselves. They complemented themselves. I think we're going to get to that point with Maguire and Varane where we're almost going to the fullbacks, get forward. One midfielder stay back and everyone else get forward. We'll never be able to do that with Lindelof and Maguire. They'll never be able to go, everyone go forward, because we know what the weaknesses of Lindelof and Maguire is. It's that ball into the channel, the lack of pace, the ball over the top. But with Varane, that's not a weakness anymore. And I think we become a different team with Varane. I'm excited to see that and I want to see it against Southampton. And you know what? Early prediction. We could hammer Southampton. I'll take a 1-0 win, but we could literally hammer Southampton. Mark, looking videos from the beginning of the week and you'll worry about centre-back and fourth choice. Do you think we did a good job this weekend despite CDM position? Yeah, Irfan, I think we did. Not going to get too carried away, but I thought we were fantastic at the weekend. Mark, love the United stand. Can you guys also incorporate a loanee watch, maybe a fortnightly one, says Paraz? I think we definitely can, Paraz. I think after the international break, it will settle down a little bit more and we'll be able to keep an eye on Ahmad. And, Tahith Chong played at the weekend. I don't even know what Birmingham did or what he did. So, yeah, I think a loanee watch is definitely something we can bring in once the transfer window is closed. We aren't Donny FC. The most important are the win and with the flow. Varane will make us a new spark, says Chelsea. Well, again, Chelsea, I appreciate your comment there, but everyone has their own opinion, don't they? And everyone's entitled to it. I just wanted to say De Gea has been my wall since he joined. Since then, I feel this year is his best chance to win something with the squad we've built. I can't believe the club is doubting him now, says Harshad. I've got a few other things I want to talk about, but I'm sort of glad that you mentioned De Gea, because De Gea, to me, on Saturday was immaculate. He did nothing wrong. There was nothing. There was one thing I would call out about De Gea, and that is that there was a ball over the top of Maguire, and I think Maguire wanted De Gea to come, and De Gea just hesitated a moment, and Maguire dealt with it, and then he said to him, "I wanted you to come." It didn't lead to anything, and that was the only thing I think he got wrong. And then I thought to myself, but to highlight that is wrong. Because how many bad passes did Fred do? Or how many times did McTominay miss a tackle? How many times did Greenwood miss a shot? Or Dan James? Not many is the answer, because they all had good games. But, that was the one thing I thought, De Gea could have come for that. In a whole game, I thought he commanded his box. I thought his distribution was good. I thought his vocality and instructions were good. He made a couple of saves you'd expect him to make, but he made them well. I mean, we could be in a situation on Sunday where he drops De Gea for Henderson and he's done nothing wrong. And I would have to sit here and go, well, I've just said drop Lindelof for Varane. It would be very ruthless to do it. And I don't believe that Henderson is the right choice. Everyone knows that. But Ollie could do that. He could do that. That's what I'm asking him to do with Lindelof. If he thinks Henderson's his number one, he might do that with De Gea. I think it's a big mistake. I think De Gea... for some reason, I think De Gea will work better with Varane. I don't know why. I just do. But, be very interesting. Chong got man of the match on his Birmingham debut. Yeah, that was last week, Lewis. And the positive is I think Lingard's back training today, and I think Henderson's back training today. Obviously they've had COVID issues. Just wanted to say De Gea has been... I've read that one from Harshid. Okay, so yeah, I did just mention that Eric Bay is back, didn't I? I think I did mention that. So Eric Bay is back in training from the Olympics. Also, just to drop this in as well, and then I want to get into some of your questions. This is coming in from L'Equipe via Le Parisien. Crap with French, but they're basically saying that PSG have got no intention of entering the transfer market as things stand, but there might be a blow in the last window. I don't know what blow means in French, but it doesn't mean like if we say transfer blow, that's a bad thing. I think the way I interpret with them is there might be a blow in the last window, is they might go for it. I don't know. Anyway, as long as it's not a job. Anyway. There might be a blow in the last week of the window, and they mentioned Pogba and Camavinga. So basically, it's still continuing about PSG potentially going for Camavinga or Pogba. I don't see that happening. I don't. I mean, I saw the unveiling at the weekend of all the players that PSG have brought in, and I appreciate that a lot of them, like Wijnaldum and Donnarumma and Ramos and Messi, have been brought in free. But the wages they're paying for them are astronomical. They also have still got people like Idrissa Gueye, Ander Herrera, Paredes, Danilo's still there, Wijnaldum, Verratti. They've got a massive amount of players at that club. I don't think they'll go for Pogba or Camavinga this summer, because I don't think they need Pogba or Camavinga this summer. And what I mean by that is, I'm sure PSG would love Paul Pogba, but I think Pogba's here for the season now. I'm sure there will be more stories over the last 2 weeks of the transfer window about Pogba, but the reason I brought it up is because I almost wanted to just say to everybody, don't worry about it. It won't happen. Pogba will not leave United in the next 2 weeks. And I just realised that could be clipped up and he does leave, but I really don't. We do percentages about, 90% club they're going to sign. I'm 95%. I'm almost tempted to say I'm 99%, but that's virtually nothing. There's no leeway. But I'm 95% sure that Paul Pogba will stay at Man United now this season. And the reason for that is because I don't think PSG have got the money to do it. I think Paul Pogba knows whatever PSG offer him now, he can make in a year anyway. And I think that's beneficial for him, because I think even if Pogba's thinking about going to PSG, United's an exciting prospect this year. And in a year's time, he'll get more money from PSG anyway, and he doesn't really lose anything. So I think that Pogba will definitely stay at United from a business sense, but also there's a lot to be encouraged about with United this year. There's a lot to be excited about. This is probably, and I wanted to ask you this, do you think Matic should start on the weekends as Leo? Well, I don't think he will. I think he should have started. I would have started him against Leeds, but you beat them 5-1. You can't expect Fred and McTominay to get dropped, mate. Hi, Mark. Who does Donny van der Beek have to orally glorify to get some game time at United, says Fellini. I don't know about that. But what I wanted to ask you is, do you think this is the best team or squad Paul Pogba's played in, and it's year number 6? I'm 100% sure Pogba's saying to Sean Turner, well, there you go. Mark, with Varane, we now have the centre-back we need to pair with Maguire, and his pace is so crucial. Will Ollie continue with McFred if we don't get a CDM, says Matt Owen. Well, I totally expect... We'll come back to that. Remind me about that. PSG blow is losing Mbappe to Real Madrid. Talks are if he go, they'll bring in Ronaldo as a replacement, says Eric Palmer. Well, keep your eyes peeled for the morning show tomorrow, because we'll mention it on that. But apparently there's a big announcement coming tonight around midnight about Ronaldo. It could be that he's having a baby, not him personally. It could be that he's getting married. It could be a sponsorship deal. It could be that he's going to Real Madrid. It could be that he's going to PSG. I don't know. But apparently there is something going to happen with Ronaldo tonight. There's a rumour going round. But I think with Paul Pogba, just to get back onto that point, we've spoken for years about building a team around Paul Pogba. Now, whether that's right or not, some would say, I remember speaking to Terry Sheringham in the summer about this, and he said, good players can play well anyway. You don't need a team built around you. You should still be able to perform. And I do agree with that. But there has always been that argument that Pogba needs a better team around him to perform, or to give him the freedom to perform, which we saw at the weekend. And I do think that this is the best team we've ever had for Paul Pogba. It's not the best United team we've ever had. God, no. I mean, we've won titles in the past. But when I look at that team, De Gea in goal, Wan-Bissaka and Luke Shaw, Maguire, Varane, I don't think we've had a back five like that for a very, very long time. We've not had a back five like that since Sir Alex Ferguson's years. So we've definitely got the platform of a back, build from the back. Cavani, Martial, Greenwood, Rashford, Bruno, Sancho. I've said Greenwood, haven't I? A massive array of attacking talent as well. And whilst the midfield is still dubious, I just think when you take it as a whole, I don't think we've had a team like this for Paul Pogba in his time he's been here. Nowhere near it, I don't think, on paper. So you're asking Paul Pogba to go to PSG or wherever in the next 2 weeks, when in a year's time he'll earn a lot more money anyway, but also over the next year he's got the chance to play in the best United side that's been here in his time. Doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So, yeah, I think that Paul Pogba will definitely stay for another year, and our job is to, as I was talking to Romano this afternoon, our job is to succeed and make him so happy here that he wants to sign a new contract. Because ultimately, he'll have a big offer in the summer. And he might think, I think some people think that if we win the Champions League or we win the Premier League, Pogba will stay. And he might do. But he might also go, well, I've been here 6 years. My final year, I've won the thing I wanted to win. I'm off for another challenge now. And there's nothing we can do about that. But he might go, I think we're building something here. I think this team might dominate Europe for a couple of years. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to dominate Europe or the Premier League anymore, because I think there's too many good teams around. But he might think that and sign a new deal. He might think, I want to stay here. And look, the amazing thing is, if we did get Paul Pogba to sign a new contract, he'd probably end up being here for 10 years. And that's amazing when you think it with Paul Pogba and Mino Raiola. I really didn't think he'd be here any longer than 3 years. And look, we heard that the plan with Raiola and was to take him to United for 3 years and then take him to Spain. And I just think the way the world worked out, that never came to pass. But no, I mean, I'm sure there's a massive, I think as I said, and I think it's been well documented over the last 24 hours, Paul Pogba sometimes, is his own worst enemy because of his agent and what his agent says. But I think also he's a victim. And I think over the last 24 hours, he's been brought into conversations he never deserved to be in. He's played fantastically well on Saturday. He should be celebrated, like Incy was saying this morning, because of how he started the season. And yet he's dragged into all these negative conversations again. And I think that Pogba, genuinely is excited with United at the moment. And I think he'll be excited for the year. And I think as long as he does what he did last season from Christmas and be professional and put his head down, then I don't think we've got anything to complain about. And you know what? Worst case scenario here. Worst case scenario. Paul Pogba was playing his heart out, playing well for a move in a year. It's better than him not going into tackles. It's better than him lazily going through the season, isn't it? And if it is to be his last year and he's going to play absolutely elite because he wants a move, well, we benefit from that. We don't benefit when he's gone, but we do benefit from that. And, at the end of the day, the situation is what the situation is. It's not ideal, but ultimately, you can see all sides. I doubt that Pogba leaves if we win a trophy since Varane is now here. Well, we'll be speculating that all season, Jacob. I don't think we can talk anything more than that. But I think what we can say is that be very, 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 very confident that he will be a United player this year. And at times this season, I don't think we were really looking at that. I'm good, thanks, pal. Oh no, that's Luke. He's talking to somebody else. And who could you see replace Pogba next year, says Helen. Well, this feeds into me about... I know we've been linked into this Mets midfielder, Sarr. And there was a bit of a development earlier tonight about United being in talks for him. 18-year-old midfielder. Obviously, Camavinga's 18. I think that it'd be very interesting if we brought a player like that in, because my feeling was always that Ollie wanted to bring a player in that was ready for the now. And a Camavinga or a Sarr is a very similar signing to an Ahmad. It's like, will you bring them in? Do you loan them? Will they actually get any game time? Will they even get on the bench? They're a midfield signing, but they're so young that they could be 2 or 3 years off the first team. I don't mind us buying a player that is going to replace Pogba in a year, but to replace Pogba in a year, they'd have to be involved in the first team this year. Not necessarily starting, but getting to grips with what it's like at the club. And I think if we did get Camavinga, he would have to be on the bench a lot. He would have to be getting minutes a lot in the Carabao Cup. He'd have to be coming off the bench a lot. Because ultimately, in a year's time, if you did lose a Camavinga, a Pogba, or even a Donny, even if Donny says, I've had enough, that's 2 years now, I'm off. And he will. If Van der Beek doesn't get game time this year, he'll go. Because he'd have to go, because he's wasted 2 years of his career. So Pogba could go, Van der Beek could go, and I think Matic will go. So if we bring a midfielder in like Camavinga, I think he's perfect, but he'd have to be in and around the first team all year, so that when one of those players go, or two of those players go, he's actually ready to fill in. Hi Mark, friends of mine used to be in the Ajax academy when they were younger. They said Van der Beek could easily play the pivot, and even CDM, he has the quality, says Ari. I wouldn't be surprised, Ari. I think Van der Beek could play in that role, definitely, but he's got to get in the team first of all. He's got to get regular game time, and the problem is now, when it comes to Donny van der Beek, he should have started against Leeds, but we won 5-1. I won't change what I said. I still would have started Matic and Donny. If you took me back to Friday, I still would have done it. But here now, on Monday, after winning 5-1, the only person's right is Solskjaer for picking McTominay and Fred. They played well. And that's the problem now, isn't it? I think Matic and Donny would have thought, we've got a great chance after Everton. We played brilliant in that first 45 minutes, and we were brilliant. We've got a great chance of starting against Leeds, and if we start against Leeds and we win, and I think we would have won. I think we would have won with Matic and Donny. I think we could have even won 5-1. I don't think Fred and McTominay, as well as they played, would have played any better than Matic and Donny would have done if they'd played well. But they didn't play. And McTominay and Fred did play. And now they are in possession. And now they are number one in Ollie's mind. And now it's very difficult for Donny or Matic to get game time if you go on last season, because he'll keep going with McTominay and Fred and McTominay and Fred. unless he's going to rotate. And if he's going to rotate, then Donny and Matic should get some opportunities very, very soon. But at the moment, quite rightly, because of what happened on Saturday, Fred and McTominay are in possession of those shirts. And you can't argue with that. And this is the problem Donny's got. And also, of course, the problem we've also got at the moment is that although it's the season starts, we're playing one game a week and then there's an international break. The season doesn't really kick in intensity-wise until the middle of September, when you start to get weekend game Carabao Cup, weekend game Champions League, weekend game Carabao Cup, weekend game Champions League. So the intensity of games doesn't start to kick in until after the international break. So realistically, I would wager bet that Matic and Donny van de Beek will not start a game for United until at least the back end of September, because I can't see them starting in the next two, and then the one after, I don't think they'll start in that, and then maybe in the midweek game. Apparently Saul Niguez has commented on De Gea's Instagram. I mean, look, Saul Niguez is a possibility. We'll have to wait and see. Why did Ollie lie and manipulate Donny to come here, says Kevin Lopez? Well, look, we can't talk about that. We don't know what happened with that. We don't know what the... I think that... You know what? Would you rather fart out your nose or squeeze out your butt? Says Six. I don't know, mate. I don't know what you're talking about there. Silly. This is not that sort of a channel. Apparently Saul Niguez played on the left wing at the weekend, says Marvin AM. We don't know why Varane was announced on the pitch on Saturday, but that was a hurried, excellent last-minute plan. He was meant to be announced on Wednesday, and something went wrong for 3 days, and we'll never know what it was. We don't know what went on with the Donny van de Beek signing over a year ago, but something went wrong. You don't spend £35 million on a player and treat them like he has been treated. You don't do that. And I'm not having a go at Ollie here. I'm not having a go at Donny. I'm not having a go at the club. But something is not right with that deal, because he was our biggest signing last summer and he just hasn't been used. It's the way I would describe Donny van de Beek is that. And look, I really hope that Ollie's going to use him, and this will stop talking about Van de Beek. But the reality is, he didn't use him on Saturday. He hardly used him last year, and he spent £35 million on him. Though the thing I always have to keep reminding myself is that Ollie bought Van de Beek. This feels like, to me, like we've had managers in the past who have inherited players who we think should play. Like Mourinho with Martial. He inherited him. He didn't use him much, but he was a player that everyone wanted him to play, and he misused Martial. And I think with Van de Beek and Ollie, it almost feels like he's a player that we want to play, but Ollie doesn't fancy him because he inherited him. And that sometimes can happen. A manager inherits a player, I don't really fancy him, but the fans like him, and he doesn't pick him, and you should pick him, la la la. The reality is, Van de Beek was not inherited by Ollie. He bloody bought him. But there's something not right there. And it could be as simple as Ollie wanted Grealish, the club wouldn't pay it, they got him Van de Beek. Maybe it was like, you can have Van de Beek or no one, or I'll have him. And I don't know. But, you know what, he might start against Southampton. I'll be stunned if he did. I'll be over the moon if he did. But, maybe he'll start against Southampton and all this talk can stop. McFred playing versus a low block next week will bring the horrors back. They can't break the lines. Ollie needs to use the right qualities of players, says Karen. I think Donny would suit playing against Southampton because, to me, although Southampton will get beaten by us on Sunday, and I think we'll beat them quite comfortably, the way Hasenhüttl has them playing, they're again a very high intensity team and they like to move the ball about. They're not as open as Leeds, but they're a little bit similar to Leeds in the way they play, and they can be quite open. But they're a little bit more disciplined defensively, and I do think Van de Beek would work really well in that. But it'll be Fred and McTominay, and you can't argue with it being Fred and McTominay, really. Until Fred and McTominay become a problem, then they will play. Because we haven't bought that Varane in the midfield. The only reason Lindelof's going to come out of the team is because we've got Raphael Varane, one of the best centre-backs in the world. That's why you're going to change it, even though we won 5-1. The only reason Sancho will start over James is because Jadon Sancho is a £75 million player and he's one of the best wide players in the world. Dan James just isn't. So you can see James coming out of the team for Sancho, and you can see Lindelof coming out of the team for Varane, even though we won 5-1, because they're superstar players and they must play. In the midfield, I just don't think Ollie's got an excuse to change it. if he bought Declan Rice tomorrow, then I think Fred would be out of the team. But I don't think he'll change it. Would Bellingham be in the squad if he came to Manchester United, says David Walsh. You know what? I really, 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 really do wish we'd bought Jude Bellingham. But I can only sit here and say there's no way he would have developed the way he's developed at Dortmund. He made the right choice. He made totally the right choice, Bellingham. He would not have been playing in Champions League quarterfinals and starting the amount of games he did for Dortmund last year if he'd come to United, would he? I mean, look, last season, Van der Beek couldn't get a game. Matic couldn't get a game. It was McTominay and Fred all season. There's no way he was going to play a 17-year-old. So I wanted United to buy Bellingham. I wish we had, but he never would have played. No way. I'd argue that with anybody, because if Van der Beek wasn't getting game time and Nemanja Matic wasn't getting game time, there's no way he was going to give game time to a 17-year-old. So Bellingham, and look, Leo might be right. Maybe Leo says that Bellingham wasn't ready to play at United. Well, I mean, you might be right, you might be wrong, but he was totally right to go to Dortmund. And for me, he was man of the match against Man City in the first leg at Etihad. So I think, how could he not be ready? But he wasn't. He wasn't the right player at the right time to come to United for him, as much as I'd like to have bought him. After Phil Jones' contract runs out, he will become a club mascot, says Sahadia. And Varane will play as Armstrong is rapid and Lindelof and Maguire couldn't catch a tortoise, says Damien Wilson. I think Varane will play because he's Raphael Varane, but you're right. That is a reason as well. Smitty says the way Ollie brought along Mason was great. You see, I disagree with that. And I think, everyone knows I like Ollie, and Ollie's very popular at the moment. He's doing a great job. But I do think that youth development might not be a thing. I don't think youth development will be a thing this year. I don't think it's going to be that season at all. But the way Ollie brought through Mason Greenwood, correct me if I'm wrong, when did Mason Greenwood make his debut? Did he make his debut with Mourinho or did he make it with Ollie? But the reality is, Mason Greenwood would be anywhere and brought through, because he's a generational talent. You can't ignore a player like that. As Paul Ince said this morning, when Mason Greenwood's just ran 40 yards and to finish like that at 19 years of age, this guy is absolutely special. And it was Ollie against PSG. I always get mixed up. Mourinho brought through McTominay, didn't he? I knew Mourinho brought through somebody. But Mason Greenwood would play under any manager. Mourinho would have played Greenwood. And Mourinho doesn't even bloody play youth, does he? So Mason Greenwood is just a generational talent. There isn't really much you do other than give him a chance and he'll take it. But I don't think anyone else will come through this year. It doesn't matter how good they are. I don't see Hannibal getting in. Obviously, Ahmad's been loaned out. I think Brandon Williams will go on loan. I don't think we'll see a young player this year because I think we're stacked as well. It's very hard to bring a young player through. And I think when you look at our young players, the best young players we've got at the moment are attacking players. Whether it's Hannibal, whether it's Alanga, whether it's Shoretire, they're all attacking players. Because I think Garner definitely goes on loan, doesn't he? Well, you can't say Alanga or Hannibal are going to get any game time, and yet there's no, we've got 9-10 players. So I don't think we'll see a young player coming through this year. But look, if I said to you, do you want young players to get a chance this year or do you want to win a title? I think this year is very much built for a title challenge, and therefore I don't think we'll see much youth development this year. I do hope the coaches have drummed into the midfielders and defenders not to give away free kicks around the 18 box for obvious reasons on Saturday, says Gaza. Yeah, well, he scored last year, didn't he? Old Ward-Prowse. And do you think this is the best defence since Sir Alex Ferguson? Well, I've said it, Hacken. I've said it. I can't think of a better Manchester United defence since Sir Alex Ferguson days. On paper. De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Varane, Maguire and Shaw. I just think it's the best back five we've had. And even if it was Henderson and not De Gea, that's still the best back five we've had in a long time. But they've got to go and deliver. We conceded a goal at the weekend. I'd love United this season to be conceding, under 30 goals. I'd love it. I can't remember what we conceded last year. I don't know what is a good concede rate, because I can't remember. I don't look at those stats, but Man City defence last year was notorious. I'd like to see United doing that as well. What's Lingard's transfer offer, says Dean? Well, there's no official financial offer, but West Ham have said they want to buy him. They want to buy him and they're waiting for United to come and talk to them. So the transfer offer is there verbally. West Ham want to buy Jesse Lingard. Stuart Pearce has come out today and said they want Jesse Lingard. And he's the coach at West Ham. But United have got the ball in their court. We need a governor, but loving the show and listening to Ince earlier, I could listen to those stories all day, says Scott Turner. Yeah, do watch the Paul Ince interview from this morning. Paul Ince played for Manchester United between, was it 89 and 95, over 200 appearances. Paul Pogba's literally just gone past him, which shows you how many games Paul Ince played for us. 2 Premier League winners. He obviously was there. In his final season, he was playing in the midfield with Nicky Butt, who was 20, and Roy Keane, who was 24. Played with Cantona, Hughes, Brian Robson, Steve Bruce, Schmeichel. Was there nurturing the class of 92, because obviously he left, and then that was when it was the year of the class of 92 playing. But they didn't just come off, the reserves. Gary Neville was playing in 95. Nicky Butt was playing in 95. I think Beckham made his debut a couple of years before that. So we'll be talking a lot more about that. But it's the topical stuff as well that's really important. And will we involved against Southampton, says Don. I don't know who's Will. I don't know who Will is. I think you meant Varane, and I think you will. Phil Jones and Chris Smalling have been the best. The trouble is, the funny thing is, Phil Jones and Chris Smalling, in all honesty, were meant to be the big ones. They were. It just goes to show you. Transfers, I think, we will do well, although I think they both will. But if we only buy Varane and Sancho this year, for them both to be a success, I wouldn't say it's unlikely, but it's not a guarantee. I think with transfers, if you can get... I think if you looked back at United's transfers over the last 20 years, percentage of flops against percentage who did well, I bet it's 50-50 or 60-40 in the favour of doing well. The thing about Sancho and Varane is, though, that's why you should always go for tier 1, because the chances of Varane and Sancho, or even one of them, failing is slim because they're tier 1 signings. And I think the reason, if we did list off all the transfers over the last decade or 20 years, I guarantee you over 40% would flop compared to, those that did well. But how many of those signings, especially over the last 10 years, were not tier 1 signings? They were like third or fourth choice signings. And look, this is what I mean. Quantity over quality is very important. Sorry, quality over quantity is very important. If we'd have bought Declan Rice, Varane and Sancho this summer, I think all three would be a success. But if we'd bought Ben White and we'd bought, Ruben Neves and Ismail Sarr, we'd still have spent a lot of money, but I'd be worried about 2 or 3. They could all flop. And it's, so you know what I mean? It's like, this is why when fans have been saying for the last few years, we always go for third or fourth signings and we back them. But Varane is such a fantastic signing because you can't complain about it. It's tier 1. It's elite. It's first choice. And so is Sancho. And the chances of them failing is far less than if you go for a third or fourth choice signing. Because ultimately, it's inferior goods, isn't it? Just a thought. Do you think Pogba on the left makes sense considering we've got Sancho now, basically relying on Shaw on the left and Sancho off the right, says Paras. I do want to see Sancho off the right. That's where he's got to play for me. I know he can play off the left and he can be as good off the left as he off the right, but I want to see Sancho on the right. If Van der Beek is not used much, we could lose him. Pogba and Matic next year, he would get one incoming and Garner. Would it be on Ollie then, says Srinvasan. We've got to look at this season, Srinvasan. This season is about Varane and Jones fought over the number 4 shirts, hence the delay, says Matthias. I don't think that was the delay. I doubt that was the delay. But I think this season is about trying to win a title, as unlikely as that is, but it's definitely about being in a title race. That's Ollie's focus. In the back of his head, he does need to think about next summer. Cavani's gone. Matic will go. Pogba could go. And if you mistreat Van der Beek, he will go. That's 4 players before you even get a shock. So we do need to start thinking longer term, because replacing two or 3 midfielders and a striker is difficult in one summer. And what if Delot says he wants to go? You've got to bring a right back in as well. So This is why bringing in a Camavinga this summer makes a lot of sense, because it's at least you've got one of your players to replace next summer, you know. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, look, thanks everyone for watching. Really enjoyed the shows today. As I said, 2 fantastic interviews. You can check them out on the homepage, Romano and Paul Ince. And then a fantastic way to round the day off by talking to you good people. Really enjoyed the show tonight. I hope you did as well. Remember, check out Manscaped. Links in the video description. 20% off and free shipping worldwide. Trim the grass to make the yard look bigger. Will United be trimming the squad to get money in to buy a midfielder? West Ham want Lingard. The ball is in Manchester United's court. I think they should take that ball and whack it back. Let's see. And that means basically they should sell Lingard. But let's see what happens. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Smash a like on the video and I'll speak to you all soon.